or when you will not perceive another man as something incomprehensible to you, something alien to you. With such relationships, you will be able to build a harmonious relationship. Do you understand? Because you now know in this relationship in what place or in what position you stand. Because there has to be a relationship, right? And when you understand what a relationship is, you know how to build it. But when you have the wrong definition of who is who, accordingly, you cannot build these relationships. Because in not, you don't have a definition, a precise definition of what his relationship really is. You have some limited beliefs about what they can be or what they can grow. Accordingly, from the choice that you have, you can already choose what kind of relationship you can have with the opposite sex. And what in this area do you want to explore? If you are a researcher, and accordingly, when you know that you are in a better position relative to the sexes, you will give a little head start to someone who is weaker than you. Because it is necessary for balance, it is necessary for harmony. The greatest power requires the lightest touch. Do you understand? And if you are a big force, trying to crush something that is lower in status than you, then here is this imbalance that we can see about relationships in marriage. Yes, because an adult child is trying to offend. An adult, so to speak, a woman, a mother, is trying to offend her little child. You need to treat him like a child when he behaves like a child. There is no need to try to break him somehow, to turn him to his side, or to prove to him that he is inferior to him, or think that you should have equal rights. Because when there is equality, the scales will outweigh in the direction of women. Because you are not equal in mass initially. A man for the most part is initially weaker, and when you become one level, the scales will outweigh on your side. You should strive for balance. Then there will be no balance, then the rights of men will be severely infringed. In all its manifestations, and in its life sphere, then there will always, forever, endlessly be enmity between a man and a woman, because a man will feel that his rights are infringed, much more than a woman feels about herself. When a woman looks at a man, through not the prism of some negative beliefs, but what he really is, then harmonious relationships can be built. Because any relationship between a man and a woman is a relationship between a mother and a child, always. There is no other way, and there cannot be, in this relationship. Therefore, by redefining these relationships, yes, you will be able to build them competently. And here there are the following questions that you face in relation to these relationships when you say that you are not perceived as women. It's a reflection of your beliefs. Why don't you perceive yourself as a woman? Weakness in your definition is a manifestation of femininity, a manifestation of weakness, because in your definition, a woman is a man's nightingale, right? In other words, the question here is that you should know that if you are a woman, then you are always a full-fledged woman. Then you are always 100% a woman. The question here is, why are you hiding it? Because there is some kind of your conviction, that is, you have the motivation to hide a woman for yourself. It's not like there's anything going on here, right? The power of motivation is to get as far away as possible from what you are causing pain, and as close as possible to what you are bringing pleasure, right? This includes you by virtue of motivation. And then, your definition is included in the work of your people, because if it seems to you that you have more motivation not to be a woman, yes, yours prevails, because in order for you to be a woman, you just need to be who you are. In other words, you don't need to do any work for this, because if you're an actress, you need to play a man. then you need to put on a lot of makeup, right, in order for the viewer to see a man on the screen. But if you're an actress, you need to play a woman. You don't need makeup, right? You don't have to do so much work, because that's who you are. You don't have to reincarnate. Accordingly, you put a tremendous amount of effort in order to stop being who you are. And your motivation says that if you don't do it, it will be even worse. Do you understand? In other words, you do it as a result of the fact that you have the motivation to do it, to put effort into it. So, some definition of yours says that if you don't hide a woman in yourself, something terrible can happen. And the question here is, what can be terrible? Why do you block? Why don't you allow yourself to be who you are, to be a woman? Oklahoma, you should have. You should know that you can't, well, as if it came out of nowhere. Yes, your definition. In order to explore this more and better, you need to find out what physically proves to you that being a woman is not safe. What happened in your life that you believed in? You also had a case of some kind on physical reality, when you saw it from being a woman is not safe. What kind of case was it? In order for your rights to be respected, in particular, this is so that you are not perceived as a woman, but as a specialist. You need to stop being a woman or something, because men are the only thing they see when they look at you. In this case, how did you perceive yourself? Who are you? Where were you standing? You can try. If you have, for example, such situations in the future, you can try to perceive a man not as a man, you know, and the way some speakers use it, in order to feel comfortable during a speech. Imagine that everyone is naked. In relation to a woman, in order for a woman to feel comfortable in a relationship with a man, a woman needs to imagine that he is a child. Depending on his behavior, 7 years, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, and it is to perceive him not as an adult uncle, or not as a status uncle, yes, but as a child. And when you perceive a man as a small child, you will be able to comfortably lead him with this relationship with this person. That is, you will not have this tightness. Have you ever talked to an 11-year-old child? Could you feel unprotected in this case? Do you understand? You can project. Remember right away, yes, when you feel yourself in this situation, yes, when a child there offers you a person, let's go have a coffee. Imagine that he suggests an 11-year-old child from emotionalized Siger react exactly like that. Do you understand? Then you won't have anything. You won't feel awkward. And in this case, you don't need to stop being a woman, you know. Because you're afraid, the more feminine you look, yes, the more of these teenagers you will, so to speak, drive up, right? But you perceive them as teenagers, you know. And then you don't have to stop being a woman, because what you said is exactly what you are getting nay. You say you have problems come, he does not perceive me as a woman, a man, as a friend. But that's exactly what you want to do. This is not a problem. This is the success that you have achieved in this. Do you understand? This is your degree of protection. Why do you consider such problems? You have done a brilliant job, so that all men perceive you as a friend. Because you have concerns, you know. But when you unwind it at home and think, why the hell did I do it at all? Initially, what was the purpose of all this production? Because I've already forgotten, right? That you were afraid of some kind of sexual harassment there, or some other non-fraternal relationship, or a man will not be to you. The more you look like showing your femininity, the less men will take you seriously. You have to realize that outwardly, from the reflection of what you have. And here, there is 100% confirmation of this. Outwardly, you didn't want to show your femininity. Yes, that's what you got. So be it for you. You have to understand how much effort you put into it to do it, to stop being who you are. So accordingly, in order to simply show your femininity, you need to stop doing all the things that you have been doing, and all of this will just crumble. You will not need to hit a finger on a finger in order to do something, in order to become feminine, or to show your femininity, yes, or to be a full-fledged femininity, whatever you call it. You need to hit a finger on a finger in order for this to happen, because that's who you are. Do you understand? And then you have a definition, a very limiting definition, which he says that femininity, yes, your manifestation of femininity, yes, is a weakness in a relationship with a man. This is your weakness. But in fact, you should understand this perfectly well, that this is a very large force that requires a light touch, even to the point of controlling a man. Your manifestation of femininity is a leash to which you can hook any man and lead him to where you need to go, and tell him to do what he needs to do. You tell him to sit, he will sit. If you tell him to lie down, he will lie down. Tell him to bark, he will bark. He won't have a chance. You see, because it is impossible to fight this force from the side of a man. He doesn't have, so to speak, any tools, nor, in quotation marks, a weapon against it, nor a vaccine against it. In order for you to realize that this is actually a force, yes, you decided to explore it in a different way. In order to understand that the greatest power requires the lightest touch, so that you don't accidentally kill someone with this power of yours.